this is how long that water is going to be there until it evaporates at different times of the year. It's a big problem once you start to put in that land drain. And in fact, to digress a little bit, as I looked at what they were doing, taking that land drain and putting it into that forebay is absolutely the craziest place to even put it. It's the cleanest water on the site. Where it really belongs is right in that overflow that's going to that catch base. And then it never gets into these two ponds. And it's a big number that, Kevin, you're not aware of it. I just winged it. I watched that darn pipe flow at, I'm going to say, 3 to 5 gallons a minute for weeks at a time. And 3 gallons a minute is 5,000 gallons a day. It's a huge number to try to be thinking that infiltration basin is going to handle it. If that were a septic system, it would be a giant septic system. So doing that is not a good thing. However, the engineer should be able to say, guys, this is what could happen. The other thing that you could do, Herb just said something about it. We haven't talked about it, but if you came up with something that said, Board of Health, maybe the four basins are a big problem. We're not going to argue, but that one's going to be like that, and we're going to go as a maintenance kind of issue, and where Herb maybe likely said squirt oil on it. Maybe, in fact, you guys say the way we're going to deal with this is we're going to treat this thing with larvicide, or we're going to do something that said this guy is going to be there. There's no easy solution, and we're going to propose that way to deal with it.
Okay.
Those would be two ways that I could see.
Roger that. I'll let him know.
Dealing with it.
Okay, so we can get him tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.
Herb Lee?
Yes.
Well, I've said my piece. I think that is a dangerous thing for our community to be sitting there. If you want to put larvicides in there, okay, then the town has got to deal with the issue of the chemicals. Want to put oil on it? That's going to be a mess. But it can't sit there as an open waterway for mosquitoes to breed. That's not acceptable to me as a member of the Board of Health and as a physician in this town committed to the health and welfare of people in this town. Unacceptable.
Yeah, and especially since it's right out the adjacent to the entrance of a retail shop. Not to mention the neighborhood, but you're spot on this thing, Herb.
So Kevin, in terms of where the board is coming, and we're all saying that having that forebay have water in it semi-continuously isn't something that we're going to accept as having abated what we believe is a nuisance. I think from your standpoint, I think you can come back and tell us you're gonna do something about it to deal with the one. You could say, you know what, we don't agree that that's a public health nuisance. It's the way it's designed and tough. That's what it's going to be, and we're going to challenge you as to whether it's a public health nuisance. You certainly can do that. The second would be that you go through it.
Dick, we haven't hired Kevin. I don't believe you need to advise him about how he should argue one way or another here.
I can accept that. So the answer for you guys tonight is this board unanimously have said we do not believe that you have abated the problem. That it looks like you have, it looks like to me that the board would probably say that 3 of the basins and depressions behave the way Ty and Bond predicted that it would be, and one of them doesn't, and this board is saying, consequently, you have not abated it.
Just, may I ask a question to clarify or make a point to clarify? I think Ty and Bond has said it is performing as expected. And we do respectfully disagree that it is a nuisance, but I understand that's the board's view. I want to make sure I understand that it's limited to that 4th basin, or the forebay, the easternmost side. I don't hear any continued complaints about the other 3 features, the detention basin or the 2 depressions. I think there's an acknowledgement that those are properly draining. As far as the engineering aspect of that forebay goes, it wasn't just one set of engineers that designed, well, it was one set that designed it, but the town's engineers, the town retained Ty and Bond to conduct a peer review of those drainage features during the design process. So I don't know that there is an engineering fix to be had, but we will certainly discuss. I will discuss with my client and my client's engineers whether there is some amelioration that can be had either with a larvicide or some other product, or whether we'll go ahead and appeal the decision. But I hear you loud and clear. We don't agree, but we can respectfully disagree and at the same time try to find a resolution.
Excellent.
And Kevin, just I submitted a draft letter to be reviewed tonight. We actually didn't do it, but just so you're aware, in my view, there are about 10 deficiencies and what I view in the Ty and Bond report. From my standpoint, as I said last week, it's hard to argue right now that Ty and Bond said, if you do this, the water will go away. It's hard to argue that water hasn't gone away. It has, those three basins. But before that's done, you'll see that just as much as you said, we're going to hang on and we may in fact challenge your public health nuisance. Just be aware that we talked 2 weeks ago that we're not saying everything is hunky-dory, but we and Herb I think we at least owe it to Kevin to say, are we saying right now in our view that the other 3 basins, if you were to look at 4, instead of putting them all together and say 4 basins are a public health nuisance and it has to be abated, are we saying that there are 4 public nuisances and 3 of them appear to be abated?
Yes.
Lee, what's your thought?
Not to overkill the mosquito topic, and I'm really ignorant in this subject, but is the introduction of water and the draining of water all the time into some type of a mud or a silt, which would be damp for a period of time, does that support the mosquito larvae, or am I beating this thing up the wrong way too much? And is it a standing water only that supports mosquito larvae to prosper?
My understanding, Lee, that it needs to be water, not mud.
Okay. But you know where I'm going with this thing. If it's, in other words, we're saying the 3 are fine, and I'm just trying to, be sure in my mind that the 3 really are fine, that we're not letting something slip through the crack.
Well, if we really want to belabor that, then every drain along every roadway, every depression would be suspect. So I don't think that's the issue.
No, point well taken.
So it looks like, Kevin, an answer to your question is yes, we are saying that 3 of the 4 are abated. 1 is the one we've got an issue with. Is that what you were asking?
It is, yes.
Oh, with that, we'll move on. Have a good night, gentlemen.
Thank
You
you.
don't have to leave. It's an open meeting, but we'll move on to our other items. Herb, you have listed on the next one, clear mass purchase for summer school. Did we ever get the American Legion? Did we ever get that? Gene, that didn't
Yeah,
come up, I guess, huh?
He was supposed to be here at 7:30. I don't
I am.
know. Oh, you're
I am
here.
here.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So my name is Mark.
The question, go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just calling in. Good evening, and thanks for taking my call. I just had a question or a comment. So we would like to start serving food, once or twice a week, following all MassGov checklists, including social distancing, hygiene protocols, and staffing and stuff like that. We would like to do it under Doug Quinlan, who lives in town. He has a small business caterer license, and that's how we would operate. And we were just calling in to see what your thoughts were and processes, because we want to do everything the right way, and to be able to accomplish that.
Is this inside or outside?
We can do both. We can do it inside. So inside, we would move all tables away from the bar area, and they would be at least 6 feet apart. You would be required to wear a mask when entering, and then moving about. Once you're seated at the table, you would not be able to have more than 6 people at the table. And then once you're at the table, you can remove your mask, and we could also do the same thing outside.
What's the maximum capacity of your room?
78 people downstairs.
So it's 40% of that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
That would be the maximum number.
That would be the maximum number, yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then we would obviously take off of that we will have a manager on duty at all times, and then the caterer as well.
What are you going to do about bathrooms?
Bathrooms, they would be cleaned every half hour by the manager, and then we would tape out a path to the bathrooms.
You don't really expect me to believe you're going to clean a bathroom every half an hour, do you?
Some restaurants are doing that right now. No, like I said, we're going to do everything the right way, just to see if we can do this once or twice a week. And this is in the infancy stages, and we wouldn't, if we were allowed to do this, it would be a couple weeks before we would even do open.
Can you tell me,
I think in the
please,
bathroom,
your background in food service?
I don't have a background in food service. I'm calling representing, I'm the commander of the American Legion. That's why I'm calling.
Okay.
The person that has the background in the food service is Doug Quinlan, and like I said, he has caterer license in the town of Granby.
So is he running this operation then?
He is going to be running the food operation, yes.
Okay. And he'll be on site at all times, start to finish.
While we are serving food.
Okay, thank you.
And why do you want to do this?
Just because some of the other places around the area are opening, and we are a nonprofit organization, and we didn't have a big bank account to begin with, and we have applied for a PPP loan and to pay our staff, and it's just we would like to be able to open so we can make some type of revenue. I mean, we do a lot of our fundraisers and we give back to the community, and you know, it's getting tough right now.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, it would be really tough putting together everything that's necessary to run an indoor restaurant, given the current restrictions and regulations.
Mm-hmm.
How many meals do you need to serve to, number one, break even, number two, profit?
I would have to ask the caterer about that. That I do not know.
Because if you're running a 40% operation, if it was 80 people, so you're looking at maybe 30 people roughly per seating.
Right.
And I don't, I don't know anything about food profit loss. But if you serve a maximum of 60 people, 2 seatings, I'm guessing they're going to make some money on that.
Right.
But it's the logistics of doing everything correctly on a
Right.
smaller clientele.
On a smaller scale, right? You know, we would get, if we got the go ahead, we would get set up, and then we would invite the Board of Health to come down and take a look and check out our operation.
Could you make more money doing a purely takeout basis?
Pardon me?
Could you just make more money advertising this thing as a pure takeout? I mean, I'm just thinking
we could do takeout as well, but I would like to have people come down and be able to have a meal if they wanted to do that. So a lot of the other restaurants around town are opening up, and then people have been able to go. I actually went out to eat the other day, and it was quite nice for a change.
Well, yeah. Okay.
But again, it's up to the Board of Health.
Is it a fixed menu, or would you have?
It would be a simple menu, and it would be a fixed menu. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly would think that you'd want to start off outside then and see how it's working. But from what I'm seeing, I know that today the governor is certainly going towards letting people eat inside, but nationwide, it looks like restaurants on the inside are going to be shutting down. It's a big transmission problem in the restaurants.
Yeah. If that's what we can, if that's what you agree on, then that's if it's eating outside, then and then that's what we'll go for, and then we'll strive for, and to set everything up there. We have tables upstairs that we can bring down and cover them up with chairs, and there's definitely a lot more room outside than there is inside to easily accomplish the social distancing between tables.
Yeah, if you
Commander,
look
I
at the
think
numbers they're picking.
I think what Mr. Bombardier was intimating is that this thing seems like it's ready to explode again. And if it does, it's going to make all of these things moot because we're not going to be able to do these things.
Mhm.
And it's going to make it very difficult. And I think to be inside is just asking for trouble. Asking for trouble.
Okay.
If you
Do
you
you think?
start by walking before you running, and you get a chance to see how the toilets are working, the numbers that are being kicked around right now, whether the right numbers or wrong numbers, are that the difference between inside dining and outside dining has a 20 times different infection rate. So
Huh.
so when Herb says start outside versus inside, it's for sure the place that you ought to try it first.
Okay. Well, then absolutely, we will try that. If the board agrees to it, obviously.
What are you thinking, Herb and Lee?
Well, I don't want to suppress the American Legion. I just want them to be careful and for the commander to understand that there are minefields here, honest to goodness, live minefields. So, yes, the board would have to send someone out to review the whole operation before we would agree to have it go forth. But I would just say, be careful, be careful.
I would think we
So
need to talk to the person that's actually going to be running it and draw together the plan of what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be serving. For sure, the bathrooms are a crazy thing that, whether you're only going to allow one person in there, how are you going to manage it? And you have to go through all of those items. How are people going to come into the place? Are they waiting? How are you? You have to go through the whole operation of it and think it through. And you have to have a written plan to how you're going to handle that. And but certainly you're probably the right guy to say, hey, okay, board, are you willing to talk about this? But for sure, the person who's going to be in charge of this needs to be talking with us.
okay. We can put something together, and then we can dial in for your next meeting if you wish.
Yeah, Gene can put you on the agenda.
Yep, I can do that.
Okay, when is the next meeting?
It is July 21st. And I can let
Okay.
you know a time.
Okay. All right. Well, sounds good. Thank you for your
If
I'm
you
sorry.
can get your written plan to us ahead of time, that way there I can send it out to the board so they can review it before the meeting.
Sure, and I can just send it to the email that you sent me the meeting time today.
Yes. Yep, that would be fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you much.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night. Thank you.
Hey, Lee,
Okay.
Yes.
this is Jeff Rule, Lynn Drive. I have a
Okay.
question for you.
Sure.
I know some of the surrounding towns have opened up for some of their establishments. Would their Board of Health already have a checklist in place that maybe we could borrow to, pony up against so we're not reinventing the wheel?
Or you mean the
Like-
food?
Exactly. Like say, if there's a restaurant in Chicopee that's opened up or South Hadley, if their board has already come up with, hey, we need you to do these 35 things to make sure you're safe. I just didn't know if that was something that you guys could get or we could ask for, just so we're not forgetting anything because we're the first ones in town to do this, to make sure we're safe.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have the answer. I don't know if Herbert Dick has any background information on this, about what other towns are doing and what extra steps they're adopting to make this thing bulletproof.
Well, I certainly don't, and I guess I would take issue, Lee, with the concept of bulletproof, since around the
Well-
country where places are opening up, they're closing down because they can't control it. It turns out we've got much less action here in Granby than in Georgia or Texas or California or Arizona, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't have a wild outbreak in Granby. And I think we should be doing everything we can to prevent it from happening by being as conservative as possible with all of these issues. And if people want to go out to eat, I say, absolutely, I'm all for it. Go to South Hadley, go to Belchertown, go to Amherst. But right now, the few places we have to eat in Granby, let's be extra careful.
Lynn might,
Jeff, I wonder if
maybe
the governor's website
Jean could
might-
get in touch with Lynn.
Yep, I can do that and find out if they have anything.
Well, plus we've got the governor's orders on almost everything. So I'm sure mass.gov would help direct us to restaurant openings and requirements for restaurants to open.
Okay.
Okay, then let's move on to, our next item is Clear Mass purchase for summer school. That's been done, right?
Yes.
Correct.
But we could expand on that one right now. We've got the PPE request from the police department and our own purchases. What do we want to do with that?
What do you mean, Dave?
Well, there are a couple emails that have gone around. In fact, Al just got back to us saying he'd like to see if we can get some N95s plus the N95 test kits. And Jean said we're looking for stuff. How do we've got that note, I don't know who it was that sent it to us saying, hey, there's going to be an order going in. What do you guys want?
Yes, and I forwarded that to Al Wishart, and he originally said he was good, and then he came back to us and said no, 95 masks and test kits. I think that's fine if we utilize the grant to buy additional PPE of that sort.
How do we make list of what we want to order?
I think we look first at how much money we have left and what we can order with the amount of money we have.
Dean, do you have a sense of what we have? I think we have like $8,000 and we've spent 1,000 of it or thereabouts.
Yes, were we limited to so much per, like for salary? Is it limited or is it just one amount for anything?
I think it has to be part of the group of that list. But I don't think they tell you that you have to spend it in any certain way.
Okay.
I would,
Yeah, so
I would agree
then
with the interpretation.
okay, so then there would be, if we had 8,000, then there's probably 7,000 left.
And that includes the masks for Nancy?
Yes, that's where the money came from.
Okay. By the way, I did review those masks. I looked at them. I didn't have one in my hand, but I had Nancy put one on, and I looked at the way it fit her over the internet, and it appeared to fit well, and it is clear. What I don't know, and I'm not sure there was information, is whether the bloody thing is really effective. It is clear, yes. Is it effective? I have no idea.
That's right. A face mask is clear too. I mean, a face shield.
Yeah, face shield. Well, I wouldn't let her buy face shields because they are ineffective.
Yeah.
This clear face mask fit pretty tight, both over the cheeks and around the chin and lower face. If it's effective, then the kids, those 9 kids, are going to at least be able to see the para they're working with.
So Gene, do you want to take a shot at giving Al a call and see what he'd like us to order, and then take a cut at what you would like to order for us?
Okay. Yep, I can do that. I'll get in touch with them tomorrow.
I think the thing to remember for all of us is this thing isn't over, and it may not be over for a couple of years. So ordering a substantial amount of PPE to have in reserve probably makes a great deal of sense. This is not going away soon.
Yeah, I think Herb, I think what you're saying is right, especially if it just seems hard to believe with people in this state backing off on the use of masks and just loosening up in general and having the rest of the country going crazy. All of a sudden, we're going to be scrambling to try to get PPE again.
Yeah.
So
I would order as much as you can, Gene, and stash it away in that cupboard that is right.
Okay.
Yeah, we should do that.
Okay, I will look
We
into
should
it
do
and
that.
let you know.
Okay.
Now,
Okay, the
going
next
back,
one.
I'm sorry, Dick, can I interrupt? Going
Yes,
back
you
to
can.
the Legion. Now, they're permitted to operate a food establishment for bar and special events. Is what they're trying to do, does that fall under that, or is that something different? Because this seems to be a new.
Very different to me.
Right. It seems to be what they're doing is something different than what they've done in the past.
This sounds like a 2 or 3 time a week regular event.
Right. And they're having it catered, so they're not preparing the food there. So I'm just a little confused on what we need to do.
Isn't the intent is to have Doug Quinlan do the cooking on site?
I don't know.
I thought that's how I understood this commander, that they were going.
Okay.
That they weren't buying the meals, they were cooking them.
Yeah,
But I think Gene, but Gene seems to be right in saying this isn't a bar and a special event. If you're doing that 3 days a week, it sounds like a 3-day-a-week restaurant.
Well, he said 2 days a week, and bars are verboten, so there can't be any bar.
No.
So would that fall under special event? Or
I
would
guess
they
we have to
need?
talk to him.
I don't, by definition, It doesn't sound like it is a special event if it's on a regular basis.
Okay.
I mean, are they trying to modify it to make this thing an every week event, Thursday or Friday night or whatever, to increase revenue? I get the revenue part, but the timing of trying to do it in the middle of this pandemic is a little risky, maybe a lot risky.
Okay. So I just wanted to clarify. So if they do this, they would need a different permit. They would need a restaurant and food prep permit.
Isn't that what they
And
have, Gene?
They have, it says, permit to operate a food establishment for bar and special events. So like they have a mystery dinner once a month, or their fundraisers, like, you know, breakfast with the Easter Bunny, that type of thing. But to have something every week and be open more of a restaurant.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay, so I'll look into that. I mean, they have the permit, their kitchen is permitted, but to do it as a food establishment, as a restaurant, is different.
No,
I think we need to talk to the person who's gonna run it and find out what they're doing.
Okay.
yeah, they've got, I have to believe, but I don't know, that they've got a public water supply permit already.
They must. I can double check on that one for you.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't.
Yeah,
wanna
they.
overstate that here. But
Yeah, in fact, yes, I do, because I get their monthly report, so they are a public water supply.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, it sounds like they're trying to make it a regular event every
Okay.
single week.
Yeah, so it's different than a special event. It would be more of a restaurant type of thing.
An ongoing event.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So that answers my
Before we
question there.
forget, Jean's asked for vacation time from the 16th to the 20th of July. We should make sure that we cover that. I don't have any problem with that.
Oh,
Herb, you're
Okay.
usually not too tough on vacation.
Just stay away from those Tripoli mosquitoes.
I will certainly try.
Yeah.
I have, well, I was gonna say I have to worry about the sharks, but I don't go in the water, so
Yeah.
I don't have to do that.
Right.
Tell your husband there are more fish than he can shake a stick at.
Okay.
Right now.
He'll be anxious.
Yeah.
We're an hour and
And,
3/4 into this. We got to get going.
Yes.
Okay, so the next thing was the alphabet soup.
request
Yep.
used. Do we, she's just asked, she said she's given up on the cooler and she just wants to serve what, one-use bottled water, huh?
Yes.
was there an issue last discussion about keeping the bottled water per student, or has that been resolved? Or is that not an issue?
I don't know what she's,
She said that she's no longer going to use the, what is it, like the 5-gallon jug. She's going to purchase individual water bottles for the students.
Okay. And was there
and I
some
wonder,
discussion?
keeping on what Lee says, what does that mean? These are little kids. That means she's gonna buy 4-ounce bottles of water and throw them away after one use? Are they gonna be laying all over and then you use a quarter of one and then you keep reusing it 5 times during the day until it's gone? I don't know what she's planning on doing.
Okay, because it just says approving the use of individual bottled water for consumption.
So does that mean